right button. Let's click go live. And I do believe we are live now.
You hit the right button.
I think so.
The on-air light is on, so.
Well, then we must be live, I guess.
Well, then, welcome to another kitchen sink microscopy. We're going with another deep sink live, and we'd love it if you'd like and share the video and subscribe to the channel, because we're doing this all the time now, and we also have a regular episode every Friday and a minute microscopy every Tuesday, so it's always good shit to watch.
Yeah, we've got we got a lot going on, and then I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and speaking of things we do every episode or once a week, I guess, we write our own music, and each episode has a completely new song, for now at least, until we run out of songs.
Except the live ones.
Yeah, the live ones. We're gonna figure out a way to inject the music into that eventually, but for now, if you like the music, it's available on iTunes and Spotify and stuff. So normally at the end of an episode, you'd hear a song. You won't hear one this time, unless we randomly break into song. But you can check out our website at ksmvidcast.com. Or if you feel like helping us out a little bit, throw a few bucks our way, you can go to patreon.com/ksmvidcast and help support the show. So Casey, what do you want to talk about today?
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. It's time to meet the Muppets. Yeah. You wanted us to break into song.
Well, I didn't mean right in the beginning.
I was thinking this FDA move to ban menthols and flavored cigars and stuff would be really interesting to talk about, because there's a lot to go into there, and it kind of ties into the whole flavor ban with the vape thing right before COVID hit and everyone still cared about vaping.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an important thing to me.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not that I don't know. I get that smoking is bad, and
Sure,
I could certainly see a strong argument for wanting to ban it, but they're only banning menthols and
and flavored cigars.
Yeah,
that is a weird thing.
And their angle is that it's disproportionately targeting African American people. So that might be a good point to start on, because I got a few problems with that.
Yeah, and I mean, we invited one of our friends who might have an interest in discussing that, so maybe he'll jump on eventually and he can give his 2 cents on that matter.
And someone else was like very well read in this and had a lot to say about it, but got called into work. So for now, it's just us. But
well, it's something we're probably going to revisit.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I mean, so I had a look at their statistics, which I didn't dig too deep into how they came up with these statistics, of course, but they're saying like 85%, I think, of Black smokers are menthol smokers versus 30% of white smokers. So while that might be a stark contrast, I feel like them tacking that on, that we're doing this for the African Americans, is a way for them to build like a non-starter to an argument about whether the ban is a good idea, because then you'll look like a racist, right?
Good. That's a good point. Like, they're basically poisoning the well in essence, because if you say, oh, well, I'm against that, then they're going to be like, yeah, you're a racist, and which is clearly bullshit. Because the thing is, first off, this ban is only manufacturing, for one. So it doesn't apply to people smoking independently. Secondly, um, it's not like it's going to do much. I am, in the absence of menthol cigarettes, people aren't going to be like, oh, well, there's no more menthols. I guess I'll just stop smoking, or I won't smoke,
Exactly.
like they'll just smoke the regular cigarettes,
I mean, that's their projection, that people are just gonna say, oh well, I guess I'll stop smoking. Just like, I mean, I don't like the taste of coffee that much. I drink it. I don't just wait until Christmas when there's like peppermint flavored coffee. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I just don't see the rationale behind that. I mean, they've got studies, of course, but like,
Well, yeah, you can't just say, oh, well, because uh we whatever, the data shows that a lot of black people smoke menthol cigarettes, that banning it is suddenly going to have any kind of impact. It's just people smoke things, the flavored stuff, because it's available. It's like, okay, well, if you like apples and you've got apples in the store, you're going to buy the apples. But if there's no apples, you're going to buy oranges or something, unless you're someone like me who like gets acid reflux kind of reactions from oranges. But that's the thing. It's like, if you want to eat fruit, you're going to find some kind of fruit, be it like kiwis or mandarins or apples or whatever. And people that want to smoke are going to smoke whatever. And it just so happens that for whatever reason, maybe it's cultural, who knows? Um, there's a greater proportion of black people that smoke menthol cigarettes. Um,
yeah, I don't know where they're coming from, the angle of like how it's marketed to black people, because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they completely ban cigarette advertising like 20 years ago? Like,
yeah,
when's the last time you saw a cigarette ad that wasn't in a porn magazine or something? Like,
yeah, exactly.
like I think they put an age limit on what kind of media audience can have cigarette ads. So like, I think that's it basically, is like porn
Yeah.
magazines.
Well, you could have something like in a store, I guess, but I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong about this. I haven't really paid much attention to it, but I've never seen an ad that seems specifically targeted to people with a certain level of melanin. It's just like there's
Right.
ads that says the brand of cigarette, smoke like Newports or whatever. That just says like Newports. There it is, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't smoked in a very long time, but when I did, like, I wasn't really a fan of menthols. Like, I've tried them once or twice, like well over 20 years ago. So they weren't for me, but like, I mean, I could see how some people would maybe gravitate towards that. And I don't know, maybe there's, like a taste bud difference, like a minute genetic difference that, somebody could latch onto or something. That I'm throwing my hands in the air
No,
because
you
I
you
just,
you could be right. Or like I said, it could be like a cultural thing. Like, you see your dad or mom smoking menthols, and that's what you naturally select, right? And if that happens to be the thing that kind of like disseminated amongst a certain population, then it's just the favorite,
I mean, I don't know much about like um plant biology so much. So I don't know about like the optimum like soil and environment conditions for growing mint. But if it like grows much better in the south or something, where there's statistically a higher population of black people than in other parts of this country, um it could stand to reason that there's, yeah, like you were saying, like a cultural or just maybe like a um, crime of opportunity sort of situation where people tend to gravitate toward a mint flavor or something.
sure, yeah, exactly. And I
And I
mean,
mean, that's
maybe,
that's not like a racial thing, like a
no,
racist thing. It's like when I lived in Memphis, I there was a whole lot more black population in Memphis than anywhere in Washington, of
Yeah.
course. And there were, like obvious commercial differences in the types of businesses that were operating in Memphis too.
Mm.
And like people constantly think it's racist to say like black people like fried chicken, but there are a lot of fried chicken places there, and they were all very, very busy. Like
Yeah.
there's maybe some truth to a certain stereotypes, and it's not like a bad or good thing. It's like,
No, it's not. And it may be like a regional thing too.
yeah,
And that might play into this a little bit. I'm sure that people that look like us that live in the South are as equally inclined to indulge in fried chicken or menthol cigarettes from time to time.
yeah,
So those numbers, I think, are kind of bogus, really, and the idea that just simply, oh well, it's a very surface level analysis. Um, the idea that, oh well, the numbers show that like more black people smoke menthol cigarettes, so therefore if we ban it, then they won't be smoking cigarettes anymore. It just doesn't make any sense.
and if there's some kind of argument that menthols are like ever so little more dangerous than regular cigarettes, um, I would say that probably has so many other factors in it. See, here's the thing about statistical studies with the human condition. You can't control for all the variables in the human condition. It's impossible.
True. That's true.
So anytime there's a statistic based on human preference or anything like that, it's basically bullshit, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a trend, sure. Like out and out, like those numbers don't lie. This many people do this thing, that many people don't. That's true, but that's the only fact you can glean out of that. Everything else is supposition.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly.
It's whatever spin you want to put on it, and you call it a study. I think it's BS.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that.
Because here's the thing: if 85% of black smokers are smoking menthols, and you point to heart disease as the number one killer of black people, right? You know what else causes heart problems? Fried food, or poor access to healthcare, or like other socioeconomic, other like
Other factors.
other difficulties that have been imposed upon them by years and years of just kind of being on the bottom rung.
Well, it's kind of the whole correlation isn't equal to causation kind of thing. It's you looking at just one simple variable and assuming you understand the totality of a situation is pretty that's grade school level error right there.
Yeah. Now that said, like smoking's bad, and it does harm people. So I don't actually see like a problem with banning this stuff. It'll help people,
Well,
maybe.
Will it? I mean, here's the thing.
I mean, there could be people that won't smoke anything but menthols, though. There could be.
I would propose this question. If that is indeed the case, why not just ban tobacco products entirely across the board? Why isn't that happening? If people care so much about the lives of others, why is it that like tobacco products are not completely banned? Well, cigarettes, let's say, because that's kind of the worst of the worst. Like cigars, probably kind of oral based products are probably not that big of a deal. Vape stuff, not a big deal at all. But why not ban cigarettes entirely? What
I
think if you really care about the lives of people, just ban it entirely. Or is it about tax revenue?
Well, I don't think it's about money. I think what they're going to do with this, because they specifically targeted African American smokers, you know, and put that qualifier on why they're going after menthol and stuff like that. That's their goal, right? Like they specifically put out these statistics, like we're going to see 277,000 less deaths each year or whatever. Well, when we don't hit that mark, guess what they're going to do? Oops. Guess we better ban it all.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
And if they had just jumped right to that, they'd get so much pushback.
Well, it's kind of the boiling frogs thing, which isn't really a thing, but is kind of a thing.
Pretty much. Like if I'm playing a game of chess, that's what I think is coming, you know.
Yeah. You start on something that fewer people disagree with. So you get your foot in the door, and then you can move up to the next level, essentially.
I mean, there's already been chess moves, little pawns moved, like can't smoke within 25 feet of a door, can't throw your cigarette butt out the window, you know, you can't, here's some extra tax on your pack of cigarettes or whatever. And less people are smoking, you know, they're getting their way.
Well, I wouldn't say that it necessarily is a direct result of the higher cost and these regulations. I mean, maybe new technologies like vaping might have actually shifted the focus in a different direction.
I noticed that phenomenon before vaping was a thing, though.
Yeah, probably. Well, and I'm sure a lot of it also has to do with information. People actively deciding like, hey, I got to take control of my life. I've got to be healthy and stuff. So I'm going to quit smoking. I don't know that the PSAs really played a big role in that, but maybe it's possible. Certainly, this is your brain on drugs ads didn't stop people from doing drugs. I stopped
smoking because of Dare.
I learned it from watching you. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Good time.
God, I should have had my Dare mug. I should be pouring beer into my Dare mug now. Oh, man. Wow, this is there's a lot to contemplate here.
Well, we did have a couple of comments here before we even went live.
Oh, wait, I just wanted to add one other point too, that for those that don't smoke that or who are not privy to that world, flavored cigarettes were already banned. So the precedent has been set in the past. It used to be there were all those flavors and honey flavored cigarettes. Oh man, those bee cigarettes. Oh,
I don't remember that. Was that, how long ago was that?
90s or something like that.
Oh, that's probably
and the like clove cigarettes, those were banned, but then they switched to clove cigars. Yeah. So they're not really a cigarette, they're more like a cigar, but then again, it's kind of like, really, what was that? But yeah, the stage has been set already to do things like this. It's basically it's come down to you have a choice of tobacco flavored cigarettes or menthol flavored cigarettes nowadays.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add again that because of the fact that it's a manufacturing restriction, that's essentially all the FDA can do in this regard. They can't enforce anything on an individual. Well,
if explain how that works, though. Like, what are you going to roll your own? Like, are you going to soak your tobacco in mint and then roll your own or something?
Sure. Absolutely. People roll their own cigarettes all the time. It's actually fairly easy to add flavors. You can add things to the filters, to the tobacco, like whatever you do, but people can add their own flavoring. So if you like menthols, you could just keep on smoking menthols. Like you just can't buy them in a store. So you buy your regular cigarettes and, flavor them in your way of choice. So it's like, does that kind of restriction actually produce the result that they claim it will? I would argue no.
It's nice to think that most humans are okay with like adding one extra step to their vice, but most of them probably aren't going to do that. I would wager
Probably
that.
not.
Yeah.
It depends, but people do a lot of things that require a lot of steps. And if you really like something, I'm a black coffee person. So it's really easy. I just pour the coffee in a cup, boom, done, drink it. Some people like cream and sugar, they like flavorings. So the extra steps of adding those things to make it to your own taste, is that something somebody won't do because it's extra, a few extra minutes or seconds or something? Probably not. It's really trivial to
Yeah.
flavor a cigarette. So I don't know that this quote unquote ban is really going to make a dent in anything. And it's just, I don't know. Yeah. Well, so, okay. Let's go into the comments because we have a couple comments.
Yeah. Menthol smokers get smokers' illnesses, and tax money has to pay for their medical bills. So Biden/Democrats should ban all habits that cause diseases. That's why we voted for quote unquote Biden and the Democrats. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, like we said, like, why don't they just ban it all? Right. Like,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's a pretty poignant question, I'd say.
yeah,
Huh.
but as we talk about quite a bit on this show, it does come down to autonomy also.
True.
That's an important consideration. Like, should it be banned just because it hurts people? It's mainly that person. Like, the whole secondhand smoke thing from the 80s and 90s kind of like trailed off, and nobody really seems to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty obvious that was complete bullshit. Um, yeah, man. I mean, this is going into like a completely different angle, which we might want to talk about. I mean, I okay.
I mean, I
So if
can't tell
somebody's in,
if that comment was tongue in cheek,
I
kind of
feel like it
trying.
might have been, yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit. But it does raise some interesting questions. Um, you know, uh, Definitely banning all habits that cause diseases is not going to happen because you'd have to ban sex at that point. Good luck with that.
Yep. Goodbye, human race.
Yeah, exactly. Um, you know, though I do have a problem with unfettered payment for medical bills, for medical expenses and things, it's like the humanitarian in me is like, okay, well, if someone's in need, you got to help someone. So it's that aspect of it. And honestly, I think there's an easy solution. Taxes would be that, for the cigarette tax, right? Should be exclusively reserved for dealing with cigarette related expenses.
Should
Yeah,
be.
good luck. Yeah. Yep. It's everybody's got their hand in the pot, grabbing what they can.
Mm-hmm.
But
Just
if
like
it were,
the marijuana tax here in Washington was supposed to go into our education system.
oh yeah, which is kind of ironic, honestly. Dude is so high, man.
Last time I checked, they still needed teachers to buy their own supplies and stuff. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, how's that working out for you?
yeah,
Yeah. So that's a completely separate problem. But if
same premise though.
well, yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that marijuana tax should go to education exclusively. Like, I don't
I don't
necessarily
know if it was
understand.
exclusive, but I mean, like,
Well, I don't understand the correlation between the two. But they're well, the PSAs from the 80s and 90s told me otherwise. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, what it doesn't necessarily like. I don't think every vice necessarily has to like pay directly into its inverse, situation.
Yeah, I agree.
if you
I
want to go
agree.
into education, that still helps people. That's fine. Like whatever.
Sure. And I wouldn't say that like marijuana necessarily has any kind of like very dramatic public health concerns. Not any, well, not quite on the same level that cigarettes do.
That's another episode, I think. But
Yeah,
I mean, like it's still impairments that you can still have DUIs that cause fatalities, things like that.
sure, but paying money into education through taxes isn't going to fix that.
I mean, not our education system, but
No, that's true.
I was about to say, well, you teach them common sense, and then I was like, oh well, we don't do that. So.
Yeah, common sense isn't so common anymore. mm.
Now you gotta live and learn, because nobody else is gonna teach you the street smart stuff. And
that's true.
Gotta go out and live it and learn it.
Oh man, yeah. The going to the school, getting the shit kicked out of you. That's how you learn the best.
Yeah, and, I mean, like there's like a bigger discussion out of all of this. It's like, why are we always trying to fix everything? Like, we're not going to.
Well, actually, that is a very, very good point. That like in the attempt to fix everything, right? Like you see a problem, you try to solve it. We fix nothing. I mean, at least as far as the state is concerned. Like you spread yourself so thin that like very little energy or any kind of resources go into each individual thing, and you basically at the end of the day you're left having accomplished nothing.
I mean,
so what's the point?
We do accomplish things. It's just, what does it cost to get there, and how long does it take to get there? Like our wins over time have been really protracted in how long it takes to like recognize the problem to actually like getting over a certain hurdle where you can kind of consider it taken care of.
Well, and I would ask, is there a better way? There might be a better way. Like
maybe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that's what science is all about, is experimentation. Trying different ideas. But when you only have one path, well, you're not gonna have a lot of different sorts of ideas being tested out, I guess.
Because the thing is, like, no system will, we've talked about this a lot, no system will make everyone happy.
No, that's true.
So like the reason we tend to like fall back on democracy is because of that phenomenon. We generally think of it as like, well, if most people are on board with this, like, I guess we'll go do it that way or whatever. But with a system like this, I don't remember being asked, hey, do you think we should ban menthols? It was just kind of decided at some level above us.
Well, and that's the thing, it's a FDA thing, so it's a bureaucratic sort of thing. It's the same kind of shit that I deal with the ATF. Like they're just arbitrary decisions out of the blue, like, hey, new rule. Like you wake up and all of a sudden everything's different and now you're a felon. Like it's kind of bullshit. But yeah, oh man.
Wow, oh, man, I just had like a really random thought. Like, how sometimes in a game when you introduce a new rule, it has to like roll in, like roll in with the new people. So the people already in it don't have to like, screw up the system that they're already on track for, right? Like, what if that was the case with new laws? Like,
ooh, man,
this point forward, anyone born has to abide by this law. Oh man, that would get so complicated.
Oh, it would.
License registration and encyclopedia on when you were born versus what laws became enacted.
And there are actually regulations that follow that sort of pattern. It's like definitely get to be a mess.
I guess it's kind of like grandfathering certain things in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it like that, but
well, same thing happens with firearms too.
Because I mean, here's the thing: like, if it's a law that makes sense to you, but you're not beholden to it. There's nothing stopping you from following that law either, and people might do that.
Well, yeah, oh man, this is that's a good point. I
What
mean,
if that's the best way of like civility is to just have little experiments where you see whether or not human nature truly is good, like let off the leash a little bit once in a while.
Yeah, and give people examples of things, right? That like, okay, this is what happened when we tried this is what happened when we tried that. You decide what do you want out of things. That would be the sensible way to do things. But I don't think the system is very sensible.
No,
probably not. And the menthol ban, well, and the vape flavor ban and stuff, is indicative of that, like the lunacy out there. I think the example that idiocracy is coming true, yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the other thing I think they try to pull on heartstrings with is kids, right? They try to spin it like the flavors are appealing to kids, and it's like, at what point do you stop liking flavor? I mean, like,
well, yeah, that's a good point. Like that, I was gonna bring that up too. Like, what I've got like this blueberry juice in here. I actually don't like anymore. I don't like the taste of tobacco. So why is that all I'm left with?
right.
As an adult, is that what adults like? Is the taste of dirt and gross stuff, like old shoe leather? Is that what you like to put in your mouth? No, everybody likes sweet things. Everybody likes fruit flavors and stuff, be it children or adults or whatever. Children and adults alike like cartoons. That's that whole like Joe Camel was targeting kids kind of thing.
Right.
But it really wasn't.
Not cigar, but pipe tobacco. That's almost kind of sweet, and there's tons of flavors. Excuse me, tons of flavors with that.
Oh yeah, and so why not hit that one too? While they're at it.
Well, it's because not that many people smoke pipes anymore.
Except for the big wigs, I guess. Something. I feel like this whole thing is very, very selective.
Every now and then I'll go buy a pipe and a little tobacco, and I'll maybe use it once, and then I just like forget about it.
Do you remember when we were roommates, Marcy downstairs? She hated cigarettes, but we were outside smoking pipes, and it was some kind of, I think it was like a cherry pipe tobacco or something like that, and she's like, oh, that smells really good. Like, it does.
All the junk they put in cigarettes, like, it really ruins what I'm sure probably starts out as a rather pleasant flavor or aroma. But that's not really all in there in pipe tobacco.
And generally with pipes and cigars, you're not necessarily inclined to inhale. It's more like you draw it into your mouth and let the chemicals go to work in, absorption into the skin through your mouth and stuff like that. You don't necessarily inhale, unless you're Bill Clinton. Wait, he didn't inhale, right? I'm pretty sure that wasn't a pipe. Wait. Okay.
Well, not that kind of pipe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the tobacco comes from the same sort of places. I'm sure big manufacturers add stuff to things, and that I do have a problem with that, unless there's a certain threshold where I think it's reasonable, like preservatives and things for long-term storage and shipping and stuff. But when it comes to things that makes people more addicted to things, I do have a problem with that.
Well, what if the things that preserve it are the things that make them more addictive? Like, because then you kind of have a bit of a paradox there. Like,
True.
I mean, I don't know if that's the case off the top of my head, but I'm sure there probably are. I mean, because you're dealing with a dried organic product that's probably going to have a host of vulnerabilities. Uh, there might be some pretty funky preservatives in there. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I mean, from my understanding of tobacco production, the fertilizer or pesticides used end up adding to the finished product lead 210 and polonium 210, which are, I would say, kind of instrumental.
Carcinogenic.
Yeah, yeah, they're radioactive isotopes,
Yeah.
and they might actually be instrumental in the lung cancer that we see. I'm sure lung cancer was a thing in the past, but certainly when you spray a bunch of chemicals on top of things and you're inhaling, well, especially polonium. Oh man,
Yeah.
like that is some that like polonium's not dangerous outside your body, but when it's in your body, when it's especially in your lungs, like that that can't be good. So is that the reason why lung cancer happens? I don't know.
Well,
My brother's friend insisted that lung cancer never happened until they added filters to cigarettes.
yeah.
Um, and it,
I mean, there's a point there though. There's multiple angles that you can get cancer from in well, they call it a cancer stick, you know. Like there's a lot of different things in there that are carcinogenic, including the act, and this is true for marijuana as well, by the way, including the act of burning something and inhaling all that carbon, you know.
yeah, well, and that was one of the things that kind of like I guess indirectly led to vaping. Certain studies concluded that the burning of tobacco is what actually created a lot of the really harmful stuff. But if it was simply heated to the point where it produced a vapor, you'd get the nicotine without all the extra added junk. And there were experiments in the 70s trying to make like a module you could stick a cigarette into and heat the cigarette up. There's a brand called Eclipse that turned that entire concept into an actual cigarette, which is kind of cool. Like if you're a smoker, you should probably look that up, because it's kind of like vaping but with a cigarette, with actual tobacco.
Huh,
It's yeah,
that sounds really cool, actually.
yeah. Well, and they you know, I think it was Philip Morris maybe spent like millions of dollars trying to figure out how to create some kind of heating device that heated it just to the right level. And they created something, but they basically came to the conclusion that it's like, it's too impractical. It's this big ass bulky. You like imagine like a something you'd use to jumpstart your car, like one of those kinds of things. You stick over a cigarette and then inhale. And they were like, this is just no one's gonna buy this shit. But now you know we've moved beyond that, and the technology does exist to make that a reality. Um, Fortunately, we don't even have to use batteries and electronics. Like Eclipse actually solves a lot of the hurdles that they were up against. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just fascinated by that technology. Like,
Well, it's kind of crazy because you know back when I was a smoker, my friend and I, we went to some corner store and they had these cigarettes called Eclipse, and I had read about it, and we bought a pack, and we smoked. If I recall correctly, we smoked the entire pack in my car with the windows rolled up, and like went through every single cigarette, and there was no smoke in the car at all. It was just vapor. And like the air was clear, and yeah, so it's like,
Wow.
it's kind of an interesting idea, and that's the whole thing. It's like, for a lot of people who don't understand things like non-smokers or whatever, it's an either or kind of thing. Like, either smoke or you don't. The Surgeon General says this is equivalent to a cigarette, which, come on, it totally isn't. Like, Jesus God, like, drives me up the wall. There have been multiple studies. Like, it is absolutely concrete, without a doubt, vaping is like a way less harmful thing, like orders of magnitude less harmful than cigarettes. But yet in the US, they're on the same page.
It's carefully chosen phrasing, right? Say, if you just simply say there, vaping is equal to one cigarette, you didn't put any units on that. It's like, are you getting the equal amount of nicotine but not bad shit?
Well,
like,
what they're going to say
that.
what they say is something like, well, the Surgeon General can't confirm nor deny that this thing is safer. We can't classify it as safer because it's not 100% safe. But then I would say, like, what is 100% safe? Not even a bottle of water. How many people have died from water intoxication? It.
Well, yeah, there was that. It was like a challenge or whatever to like win a video game or something. You like drink water until.
Oh yeah, it was a radio show. Yeah,
that was
yeah, and there were two women that I think were like the final contestants, and one of them died.
Yeah,
because she and they were like, oh, she looks like she's pregnant. Like, her stomach was completely bulged out and stuff like that. And
man,
yeah, like, that's water. Water did that. Most people think it's like a completely safe thing. Try drowning in it too.
Well, that is effectively drowning all your cells.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thins out your blood and
drowning from within.
Like, oh man, what a way!
Think about that.
Terrible way to go.
Yeah, like, the thing that we can't live without kills us in one of the worst ways. Like, well, several of the worst ways, really.
Yeah.
Like, drowning is no picnic, I'm sure.
No, and it's like even different than that, because like, at least if you're drowning, if you get out of the water, you can keep going. But if you're drowning from within, that's it. Like, you like, it's in your body, it's inside of you. Whew, man. Wow. Yeah. I get, oh man, there's so many things to so many angles to go down here. I mean, I kind of think, like, there's people out there that, like, they just want to make life boring for everybody. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'm starting to think, like, how far is this going to be applied? Or, like, here in Washington, we've legalized recreational marijuana, and there's, like, I'm sure, like, flavored edibles and blah, 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 stuff like that. Like, things that alter your experience in a cosmetic way, basically.
Well, and yeah, that's a good point, that the edibles aren't, just a flavorless puck.
Right.
It's like jelly candies or brownies or cookies or something. And what do you know? It happens to be sweet, because everybody likes sweet stuff, adults and kids alike. It just so happens that the edibles carry a little bit of extra punch behind them. And that's a good point too, that the correlation, between things like, oh, well, we can't say that vaping or whatever is less dangerous. It just have to be on exactly the same level. Like vaping is exactly the same thing as smoking a cigarette, even though, I mean, you could spend like just a few minutes reading a couple studies and realize that is absolutely not the case. And it's the same kind of thing. Like as far as the DEA is concerned, marijuana is on the same page as heroin. Like same lethality, same criminality. Like how does that make any sense? It makes no sense. And mushrooms and things like that, peyote and stuff like that, they're all on the same page.
Again, it's perspective though, right? Like what we see as ridiculous, like framing it all together in one class. Like we're seeing that one way, but it actually has like criteria to it. It's not a thing that's done on purpose. It's just something that gets applied according to those rules. Like no medicinal use. No medicinal use. Eba deeba fat Albert. Yeah.
Well, can anybody argue that like marijuana does not have a medicinal use, or MDMA, or peyote, or mushrooms, or something like they totally do.
But I like the other criteria though, like it also hits, and there isn't actually any medical like study that confirms anything with marijuana medicinally. It's not like the protracted, observable, repeatable results that you get from applying cocaine to help someone concentrate, or the various other illicit drugs we have that actually do have a medicinal use. Opioids are great painkillers, like,
but then they're still on the same schedule as marijuana. It's like there's no rhyme or reason. Oh man,
well, I'm saying that is the rhyme or reason, but it's a very broad net that they're throwing over it. That's the problem.
True. Yeah, exactly.
Like if it has no medicinal value, what the hell does that matter? If you
I
want to use it recreationally, that's your choice. That's how you want to enjoy your time.
Well, and yeah, like speaking about recreation, like is the FDA or the DEA going to evaluate kids' toys? Like this toy has no recreational use or medicinal use, like, it's kind of on the same page, I guess, in that regard. Not necessarily those organizations would do that, but
kids, oh yeah, like I remember there were toys from my youth, from our generation. I'm sure, yeah. Like it went pretty far back, I think, but there was like a chemical that made rubber and plastic like more rubbery, and like it was great for teething rings and stuff, right? And then it like, I think it got linked to autism. It's so funny, nobody talks about that. They're all about, autism is caused by vaccines. There's like no data for that. But then there was like all these kids' toys from our generation, and there was a thought at one point, I don't know if it's been debunked or not, that those extra squishy teething rings are responsible for the rise that we saw in autism.
That's
it was kind of a tangent there, but like
no, I think it's related. And there's this kind of thing, like at what, who are these assholes, and why do we let them do what they do? It's this whole like nanny state kind of thing, like a bunch of quote unquote experts telling us what to do to protect us from ourselves. And it's like, well, life is dangerous. It's full of all kinds of dangers, but dangerous stuff can be fun. Why do you think people bungee jump or climb to the top of mountains or something like that. You know, it's super dangerous. Why do people go to the moon? Why do people go to the ISS? Like, what's wrong with taking a little bit of risk and analyzing it for yourself and having a little bit of fun along the way? You know, I mean, that it rubs me the wrong way. You know, I mean, my personal philosophy, it kind of drives me up the wall.
I mean, that is a good point to come to with the whole discussion on the menthol ban. Really, is like we've kind of evaluated all the deeper, like, logical stuff, but like, what about, like, just who cares, like, what they want to do, you know?
Well, yeah, and imagine if it was concluded that the reason that people are having heart attacks was because they like to eat pepperoni pizza. Like, statistically, we found that many heart attacks can be traced to pepperoni pizza or beer, right? So we're just going to ban pepperoni. So now you just have to have cheese pizza. How would everybody feel about that? You know, is that
Why
a
can't
good thing?
life be just like that? It can, but people let it rot. And things like rotten cheese are.
Oh man, if only we had a song at the end of this video. That
We
would
already
be it.
used that one though.
I know. Oh, that was a good song. Oh
I should
man.
remember to link it so people can go get that song.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, I think I called it the cheese pizza song when I was trying to talk to you about it one day.
Hey, we got another comment there. You want to take that one?
Yeah, okay. Tobacco farmers use fertilizer to help their crops grow. These fertilizers contain naturally occurring nuclide, radium. Radium radioactivity decays to release radon gas, which then rises from, and that's all I've got. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's all there is.
So I think where that's going is, like, our own food even could have, you know, dangerous or negative or carcinogenic effects, possibly.
It could be. Now tobacco is different. Like, each crop, people have a different strategy for dealing with pests and fertilizing things, and every plant is different. Um, so I don't know that necessarily everything is going to have that, but then, you know, think about that next time you cook up your steak.
And the other funny thing is that, like, been tests done between, like, what organic farmers use versus you know, regular big farm, is that big farm?
Pharma or farmers? Is there really a difference nowadays? Hmm. Hmm. Oh, okay.
I forgot where I was going with that, but
we got more comment
yeah.
to finish that up. Radium radioactively decays to release radon gas, which then rises from the soil around the plants. As the plant grows, the radon from the fertilizer, along with naturally occurring radon, which, yes, that is definitely in the soil. It's probably inside your house right now. Don't panic. Anyway, along with naturally occurring radon in surrounding soil and rocks, cling to the sticky hairs on the leaves. That's how it gets the polonium. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Radioactive decay. Um, you know, things don't exist in isolation. Um, so what that
Huh.
and maybe that's not, maybe it's not the right way to nowadays to solve the problems, to fertilize plants or to deal with pests or whatever. but I still wonder if, I mean, having radium and polonium on your tobacco, like it is like that can't be good to like burn that and breathe it into your lungs. Um, can't possibly be good.
Yeah, uh, something that dense, chemically dense.
Well, and it's as I understand it, it's an alpha emitter, but and that doesn't matter outside your body, but inside, especially like in the soft, squishy, squidgy parts of your lungs, like that's kind of a
Squidgy
big deal.
squelchy.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Squidged off down the corridor.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah, I mean, like how far down do you want to look into your daily life and think of ways that it kills you? Like how much of a party pooper do you have to be on life? To
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
like, yeah,
There
this little thing right here, you gotta stop doing that, or you die, maybe, sort of statistically possible.
yeah, like do you want to live your life in a bubble, living in a human-sized hamster wheel or a hamster ball? Or do you want to like bungee jump and take a chance, sail across an ocean or something like that? Yeah, sure. You could die. It's statistically possible, but that's part of the adventure. Like, if there is no risk, then there's no fun. That's kind of part of being human, honestly.
This
Uh,
is the smoke 'em if you got a moment of kitchen sink microscopy.
oh yeah. Oh man.
We all ended on like advocating for smoking.
Oh man. I wouldn't, honestly. I think it's a bad thing. Don't start smoking, kids. Um, it sounds like a good idea, but it's bad for you. And yeah. Although, okay, wait a minute. I as an
Okay, Dad.
yeah. So I could actually outrun most of my peers, even people who didn't smoke, who were track people. I could outrun them. I could climb trees faster than people, and I was a smoker. And I remember my friend and I, like after Fourth of July, back in the '90s, we were walking up this steep hill back to my dad's place from the waterfront, and we passed by a bunch of these people. We're like smoking cigarettes, and the there's all these athletic people with like skin tight suits and stuff, and they've got their spandex on and everything. And I remember we walked past smoking cigarettes. I had this like old ratty trench coat. My friend had like something similar, or maybe a bomber jacket or something like that. And it's like dead of summer. We're smoking cigarettes and we're like passing all of these athletic people. And I remember these two girls who were wearing spandex just looked over at us and they were like, "That's just sick." And we were like, "You got passed up by smokers, fool."
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like, I sing better now than before I was a smoker. Um, I had my best lung capacity was when I was a smoker. Like I
Yeah,
saw,
wait, don't you have asthma?
I
Or
did
weren't
as a
you
kid.
asthmatic back then?
I did as a kid. I don't necessarily feel it too much these days, but um, yeah, technically I guess I am asthmatic, but um, I don't know.
It's kind of weird that might have possibly been solved by smoking.
Possibly. I mean, there's silver linings in anything, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a meditation of sorts. The rhythmic breathing in and out is trance like, which
Yeah.
is all about, what goes on in meditation, right? You're basically just like focusing, drowning out the outside world, like that part of it, that ritual of it. It's not that you couldn't do that as just a breathing exercise and be addicted to that activity. It's just usually that's easier done with like a physical marker to it, like putting a cigarette in your mouth or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like a token or some kind of
Yeah, like that triggers other psychology and stuff,
which this is the thing, people equate smoking to heroin addiction, saying it's that difficult to break that habit. But from my experience and from talking to other people, the ritual side of things is the hardest thing. Like my friend tried to quit smoking, and he found that if he was talking on the phone or if he got into a car and started driving, he had this overwhelming compulsion to smoke. Like that physical side of those things, like being in a car, driving, talking to somebody, having a cigarette.
It's that
That kind of
phantom
link
thing,
was so powerful.
muscle memory and stuff. Like years after I cut my hair, I would still go to adjust my ponytail and I'm all bald and shit,
Oh
like,
wow. Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah, that
it's still built into me. Yeah.
it's kind of a mind over matter kind of thing, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow.
And I mean, we just, we got an episode coming out Friday that started out talking about one thing, but got into this topic. And,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit of a teaser.
Yeah. Oh man. This has been a pretty good episode, given the fact that our guests were not able to attend. um, I think we're going to have to revisit this one, because I think there's actually a lot more to talk about there. um, Although I think we covered a lot of major stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Huh.
Well, if
Wow.
there's no other comments, I guess we
uh
could wrap that up and keep it short. Well,
yeah, well,
short-ish.
short is relative. I mean, we've been talking for like an hour now, so
Yeah.
I think that's probably enough. People are probably sick of our jaws yapping. Can I jabber at you? uh oh man. Well, and if you're watching this in the future, as opposed to live, put your comments down in the comment section, have a conversation. um and as always, thanks for uh deep sync living with us. uh I
I'd
think
say
this is
enjoy the song, but instead you'll just have to go watch another episode and hang out to the end of that one to see the song. So go do
yeah.
that.
Or you could go to iTunes or Spotify or whatever, and buy it all, like listen to everything, because we got some good music. I'll just say, um, and apparently our voices are indistinguishable.
Ah, a challenge to our fans. Yes, go listen. There's a Spotify playlist for Altair. You can see if you can guess who's singing on it, Eric or Casey. And there's a lot of them that have no singing. So that'll be even harder to guess, won't it?
Yep.
Who
That
wrote
is
it?
true.
Or did both of them write it?
Can you detect somebody's writing style?
Yeah,
Oh man.
that would be
Yeah.
it. That would be fun. If anyone wants to come on the show and get music geeky and take a few weeks to try to do that, like make a list and be like, this is what I think who wrote who, or who wrote what and who sang what. Like, it would be kind of cool to like hash that out. You're like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
you got that one
yeah.
wrong. Like,
And if you throw like $50 our way on Patreon, we might have to do some back and forth kind of songs um, to kind of test that
oh, that'd be rad.
as a gift for the Patreon supporters. Um, yeah, like a Run DMC kind of back and forth sort of thing. Like, oh man, how
Nice.
cool would that be? That'd be awesome. Oh man. Well, I think we've well, I wouldn't say we've reached the end because I don't think this conversation is I don't think it's concluded. I mean, I think there's a lot more that deserves discussion.
Well, our one of our guests couldn't make it. Wanted to talk also about like medical marijuana. I think that would be a good spin-off discussion from this, really, and hopefully she'll be able to join for that one.
You sure? Yep. Let's make that happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anytime you guys have an idea, just throw them into these chats or the comments, and throw an idea out there. We'll probably cover it.
We pretty much cover everything. As long as there's beer, I'll talk about it.
As the name implies, kitchen sink. My cross.
Well, I think that's a pretty good point to end on.
That's enough jabbering.
Yeah. For those on the West Coast, it's getting close to bedtime. Those on the East Coast, you're probably already in bed. So
that
nighty night.
Shows how old we are. We think people are in bed by now.
Do I have to take up Pinnacle? Oh God.
I don't have any time for that with all the shuffleboard
or bridge or something like that. I have tried. My grandma used to play bridge.
Fuck Pinnacle.
And I was like, I tried to research that. Like,
yeah,
how does bridge work? And I was completely, utterly confused. Like, I didn't understand it. There's all these people like throwing cards out, doing this stuff. I'm like, how does this work? I don't understand any of this. It doesn't even make any sense. The north card and the south and the like what is going on here?
It's the card game equivalent to like those really complex board games that like people spend like hours and hours on and like build stories and universes and shit. Like
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, I can understand like Magic the Gathering, but bridge, fuck that. I can't understand that for shit. Oh man.
I mean, never played Magic. I did play Star Trek: The Next Generation, the card game.
I have a whole binder full of those cards that Joe gave me.
Oh wow, ago. Joe gave you those.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh man.
I still have a binder of mine as well.
Well, we'll have to play the Star Trek card game at some point. We could
do the boring ass like thing and make a video of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's man. I shouldn't say boring. Some people like that, I guess.
But yeah, people like watching people play games, whether it's video games or card games or board games, or whatever.
No need to shame that.
Yeah. No, it's man, that's well, I think that's enough for now. I'll just smoke a little bit of polonium. Yeah.
I'll drink a little more of my Irish Death, which these always hit me pretty hard and give me a headache. I don't know why I buy them.
Yeah, you keep drinking them.
See, if you don't pay for advertising, I'm just going to talk shit about your beer.
Man, I can't wait until Elysian pays us to peddle space dust.
No, fuck them. fuck Elysium, fuck space dust, fuck them until they buy advertising.
Exactly.
They all suck.
All the beers suck.
Today? How's that beer today? They suck.
The only beer that matters is the KSM beer, which, by the way, we're gonna do that. That's gonna happen.
We got to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a kitchen sink microscopy beer. Well, a couple of them probably.
Yeah, probably. And mine might have some radioactive components. I'll make a beer called Radium Water.
They're all beta waves.
Oh man.
I hope other people could laugh at that. Just realize how horrendously geeky that was.
it was, but it was humorous. Like I got it. Oh man. Well, I think that's probably about all the time we have for today.
Yep.
Hopefully everybody who's been sticking it out, we've got like 4 or 5 people who've been hanging out the whole way through.
Yay for you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, well,
most people can't stand hanging out in a room with a couple of drunk dudes, but you're watching us on TV.
Yeah, and we can't edit anything. Like whatever happens real time. Yeah.
Never shit out anyway. So
yeah, I guess that's probably a good point to end on.
Yeah.
Got to get something to eat. Probably gonna get some Taco Bell. Yeah. Get some
this is normal like dribble that people don't hear normally because we cut the video at this point.
I would get some fried chicken, but there's no fried chicken places that are open right now. So
well, you're not in Memphis. So
no, that's true. That's true. We have like what do we got here? Churches and
Zell's.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A and
yeah.
There's another one.
The Popeyes or something.
Popeyes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about it. And they close early. So well, guess you won't be getting my business.
There were like even more chains in Memphis. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head. I only lived there a few months, but they were super popular down there.
Mm-hmm. I wish there were more like food trucks.
I'm noticing more.
Yeah, there's just not enough. Like I want food trucks all up and down my road. There's a food truck in the service station across the way over there.
Oh, wow.
But I don't quite know what it is. It looks like a hot dog. Maybe it's a hot dog food truck.
Mumbling PGT?
Yeah. That's what people do when they get the propane. Yeah, I think it's being actually repaired. It's not actually going to be a food truck, sadly.
Oh,
yeah, bummer.
Dang.
I would like it if there were like food trucks everywhere. Oh man. Oh God, I'm getting so hungry now.
Well, let's start a business and just mass produce food trucks and put them everywhere.
Yeah, well, or pick something that tastes good and make a food truck out of it. Grilled cheese. Imagine that, like a grilled cheese food truck. Oh, I'd be all about that. That'd be
with like a few layers, like a Monte Cristo with like different cheeses on each.
Yeah,
whatever.
You could have whatever you want. You want like a standard grilled cheese, like just 2 pieces of bread with some cheese in the middle, grilled up, all nice and hot, handed out to you. Like you could have that. You could have all the fixings inside. Oh, man. Oh, you want hot dogs? There could be a hot dog truck. Like, God. Oh, okay.
Weird, weird boner flex, but
You're one to talk. Oh man. Well, I think that's a good point to end on for now.
you're like, food trucks.
You did that pretty expertly. Oh man.
Like Michael Phelps, like rapping.
Oh. Well, if anybody out there wants us to create our own brand of beer, let us know. You want us to start a food truck? Well, let us know. We might do that. But for now, I think it's bedtime on the West Coast. So yeah.
Old man.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about other people. People got to work tomorrow. Yeah. Well,
Oh, I guess some people probably do get a nice healthy 8 hours every night.
yeah, 8 hours. Good luck. Oh, man. But whatever you can get. Man.
All right, we've blathered on for like 15 minutes. So.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good point to end on.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody have a good night and enjoy the sunset.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait. There.
Add gently soften.
Oh.